This should be, at least majority of it, review. All right? So we're going to go through relatively fast, but feel free, please ask me questions or, to elaborate if necessary. Graphing, normally what kind of graph do we use in academic world? A bar, a scatter plot, a line. Okay, but what general letter shape do I make to start it? An L. So we call it a what axis graph? Okay. Which one's the X, which one's the Y? All right, shh. If you didn't remember that, did I teach you guys earlier this year the memory aid to remember? Dry mix. Dry mix, yes. All right, shh. Maybe you learned it from somebody else. Maybe you learned it from me. I don't know. Dry mix. Now, the first part should be blatantly obvious. Obviously, we have the y-axis, we have the x-axis, but we also have the dependent variable goes on the y-axis and the independent variable goes on the x-axis. Does that make sense? So if you ever forget that, you might use dry mix to help you remember, okay? Earlier this year, we did a height, we could call it a lab if we want. Could you try to pretend to pay attention? You're not doing a very good job. Because I wasn't buying it that you were paying attention. Did you get it? Yeah. Awesome. Remember we measured ourselves, our heights? Okay. And now if this was math class and this axis went through and this one went through, we would call this a what system? A quadrant? Coordinate system? Okay. And if it was math class and it was a coordinate system, this point here would have to be what? 0, 0. If it was three-dimensional, you had a z-axis coming out at you, it'd be 0, 0, 0. Cool. But because this is science class, or if it were social studies class, maybe we're doing some demographics, or maybe you're doing economics, or whatever it is, does this have to be 0, 0? No. So for our height one, if you recall, I think the shortest person was 53 inches or something like that. So we had 50, I think, to start. And the tallest person was less than 75 inches, so we had 75 inches at the top. We went by fives. We counted by fives, labeling. And then we had dashes that weren't labeled, but we understood those were single inches. Do you recall that? So we don't have to start with 0. And at the bottom, we had the thing that we suspected. Guys, we suspected that what caused the variation in height? Age. So I think we might have done birth month, didn't we? And we plotted a point for all of the births in January and what so forth for those couple of years that you guys were born in. Did we see a pattern emerge across the graph that pointed to, yes, there is a connection between age and height? It was weak. If I recall, it was a weak connection. And that's probably because most of you are relatively close together in age. I remember saying it this way too, maybe not to this class particular, but if we had done kindergartners through 8th graders or 9th graders, like for our dependent variable, our independent variable down here, would we have seen a stronger correlation between age and height? Yeah. But we did see kind of sort of. So the next thing we're going to do, probably starting this week, the plan is at least, we're going to do the bungee Barbie thing. Did I mention that to you? No. Okay. I did? Okay. So So we're going to take Barbie, and once a year I get to play with Barbie and not feel weird about it. We're going to bungee jump with Barbie. We're going to tie rubber bands around her ankles, and then we'll attach rubber bands from that. Does that make sense? And you're going to have like a pretend platform. You'll have a ruler, right? And you'll drop her, let her go. She'll go head first, and she'll bounce, right? And she'll bounce, but she'll reach a maximum distance from the drop with 1 rubber band, 2 rubber bands, 4 rubber bands, and 5 rubber bands. I skipped 1, right? I skipped 3. So we'll collect data. I just dropped my marker somewhere. There it is. We'll collect data, and we'll put it in a table. And then we'll take the data from the table and create a what out of it? A graph. What do you think the dependent variable will be versus the independent variable? We have the distance drop, and we have the number of rubber bands. What do you think the independent will be? Number of bands, okay? The number of bands. Yeah, you're putting this in your notes. That's why I had you get your notes out. Now, in general, like generic, this would be called a what right here? It is an axis name or label. We're labeling, we're letting you know what are we putting on this x-axis. The independent variable, which is the number of rubber bands. The independent variable is what we expect to determine the dependent variable. It will influence that. Okay? So over here would be the what? The distance of the fall, right? And we're probably going to go ahead and do that in inches. So you'll have somehow plotted over there on the axis the distance of the drop or the fall. Down here you'll have the number of rubber bands. Okay? And by the way, we're probably going to do all this in Google Sheets. You'll probably create the table in Google Sheets. You'll have it automatically draw you up a graph. You'll select scatter plot type. Okay? Yeah, did we do that with that? Okay. Good, good. All right. So we also need something up here. A title. And the title would basically explain, hey, distance dropped per band, or how far will a Barbie fall based on the number of bands. However you want to title it. Okay. So in class, you're going to collect how far she falls, or he, right? Or he, you might do something like this. Who's this?
That is LeBron.
That's LeBron James. You see it? I'm told this is called Big Show. Okay. Anyway, in class, we're going to drop them with 1, 2, 4, and 5 rubber bands. So we'll have data. Now I'm just going to throw this up here. Notice I'm not putting numbers on it. I'm just going to this is 1, but I don't know what the heights will be. You're about to see. He asked, why did we skip 3? Just check it out. So we're gonna have data for 1. We'll have data for 2. We won't have data for 3. We'll have data for 4, and we'll have data for 5. Okay? Number of rubber bands. We will know because we measured it, because we actually did the experiment. How far will it fall with 1 rubber band tied around the ankles? I don't know. Let's test it. So we actually test it. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you do 1 drop and say, yep, it was about 5 inches, and then you move on, is that good testing? How many times do you think you should try it? 3 or 4. The more the better, but at some point, it's like we're just wasting time now. At least a couple. At least do a couple. Who do you think should measure the height of the drop each time? No, actually not somebody different. You should use the same person, and they need to be, if they notice they dropped about this far the first time, and they weren't at that level, then that doesn't count because they couldn't see exactly how far it dropped. Does that make sense? Because you're going to have the ruler there behind it. So you need to drop next to the ruler, first of all, so they can actually see the height. And once they see about how far it's going to go, they're going to get at that level, and then they're going to say, okay, do it again. And they're going to mark it. They're going to say, hey, it was at 5.25 inches, whatever. All right, do it again. And you're not going to watch it fall, right? Shh. You're not staring as it falls. You're going to stare about where you think it's going to match, and then you're going to see it come down, but you're not focusing on the Barbie, are you? You're you can still see it without focusing on it, right? You're looking for how far does it fall. Anyway, so you do 2 or 3 times, maybe average it. Does that make sense? And then you put that point of data. Understand? And you do the same thing for 2, same thing for 4, and same thing for 5. So you'll do, if you're taking 4 points of data, you probably dropped at least 8, maybe 12 times. Does that make sense? Okay. So you got your data in your table based on all those drops. You put it over here. This is what it looks like. What you're going to do then is you're going to take a straight edge. Now, if you're on your computer, please don't draw on your computer screen. If there's a tool, I don't remember if there's a tool to actually find line of best fit. There probably is, if we dig. Or ask Google, hey, is there a tool in Google Sheets to find line of best fit? But essentially what you're doing is this. You're not trying to connect the dots. You're trying to see if there's an average. Like, if there's a what? If there's a line that fits the best, it's a line of best fit. Also known as, AKA, a trend line. Have you ever heard of that? So we're looking to see, is there a line that's kind of close-ish? And then we draw it. And you might go straight through actual points, but you might not. That's not bad. Shh. So by doing that, not bad. I'm probably need to. Does this line probably need to tilt up a little bit more here? Okay. Anyway, what you can do now is you can now predict, using the data you have, you can go, what? That's just awesome. Did somebody hit me with a paintball and I not notice or something? Shh. You're going to say, okay, if we have 3, what do we think the height of the drop, or the distance of the drop would be? Okay? We call this prediction. It is a prediction based inside of known data points or data points. Isn't this a data set? Yes. This is a set of data. You collected the data. Okay? You are predicting inside of that data set. There's a name for that. It is interpolation. No. This is the data set. And interpolation is a prediction. Somebody, what do you got? Then listen to what I'm saying, because it's kind of small from there too. An interpolation, an interpolation is a prediction based inside of a data set, inside known points. Data set. We have known points. We collected that data. For whatever reason, we couldn't collect this data. And so somebody in another class said, well, isn't it just a guess? Couldn't you just call it a guess? No, not really. Because this is a guess. You don't have precise data. We have precise data. We carefully measured. We're not doing some kind of guess or wild guess. We have data. So it is a prediction. Can you call it a hypothesis about what it will be? Sure. What?
So what happens if your data is like so like you cannot even make a straight line?
Oh, you still will. Now she's saying, like, if you had plots and they weren't generally forming an upward trend, is that what you're saying? All right, good. So Cox is saying if your data, you plot the points and you can't see any, basically what you're saying is there's no correlation between the number of bands and how far it falls. If that's the case, if your points are truly random, then you've actually disproven that there's a correlation or a cause and effect. Basically, you're saying no, the distance it falls isn't. Apparently, it is not dependent on the number of rubber bands because it's all over the place.
So you just have to do the yes.
So what we're doing, we're actually going to do both. Okay. So you're going to make that prediction based on the data you have. That's called an interpolation. Then after we do that, then I want you to do the drop with 3 rubber bands. And you're going to either confirm, yep, our data seems to be doing a good job predicting where a point inside of the set would fall. That's good. If it doesn't, again, back to the drawing board. What's going on here? You'd have to think about it. Now, if we do all this, which we will, and if you do what you're supposed to right, careful measurements, a good interpolation, and confirm it, the next step is me giving you the height of the drop we're going to do outside. Yeah, outside, like outside of the building. So if you noticed, the forecast is showing that we're moving into slightly warmer weather. Like we won't die if we go outside, because some of you don't dress for the weather. So you guys know the baseball field? Okay, there's a baseball field outside. Shh. And there's stands behind home plate. We're going to go, you all, not me, you all are going to go up to the top, and there's a handrail. That's the platform that she's going to, or he is going to bungee jump from. Okay? I'm going to give you the height from that platform to the ground. You, once I give you that, will input that point into your graph. You're going to say, this is how far it's going to fall. And then you will come over, match where this line comes through, the intersection, and you'll be able to go down and say, that's how many, right there, that's how many rubber bands it would take to get Barbie to hit. Just barely, just to hit. Not more than enough. How many to get her to hit? Does that make sense? Now, here's the rub, I guess you could say. You all are going to be in groups of about 3. I like groups of 3, you know that. And the winning team, here's the competition. Who can get the closest to smacking her head on the concrete without actually smacking her head on the concrete? Does that make sense? So you're going to do the math to determine how close can we get, how many rubber bands would it take to get as close as possible, but not quite hit. The winner normally, not always, but normally the winner has gotten so close that the hair actually touches, but the head does not. Does that make sense? The winning team gets an extra credit point. You don't win. Shh. Guys, your grade for this project is going to be based on your record keeping, basically, your processes, your answers to a few questions. Does that make sense? you're going to have like a question set, like a worksheet that you're going to be working through. Do you answer the questions properly? Do you follow the process? That's your score. But you get extra credit if you win. Somebody another period, I think my fourth period, they said it's only one extra credit point. Well, okay, here's the thing. It's going in the summative category. So that extra credit point is worth more than if it were in the formative category by a lot. Yes. No, you guys misunderstand. You supply the Barbies. You supply the action figure. Guys, most of you still have an action figure or a Barbie doll or whatever that would work for this, or you have a sibling that you can steal it from, make them cry, whatever. Or I do have a small selection donated from past students that were like, actually, I don't need this anymore. Would you like to keep? Like, yes, I'd love to have a few. So like right now I have 1, 2, 3. I've got 5. Oh, no, 6. Shh. Yes. Yeah. Yep. All right. Anyway, last thing. So I'm going to give you that height that it's going to be falling from. You're going to do that prediction. That prediction is called, well, first of all, it is a prediction based outside of data points or a data set. It's called an extrapolation. And in common language, like in the common world, out and about, you're much more likely to hear the word extrapolate or extrapolation than you are to hear the term interpolate or interpolation. It's just more commonly used. So unless you guys go into a sciencey field or something, you're not super likely to see this term, but you likely will see extrapolation. It's just more commonly used. Questions? All right, that's your review for today. Book time. Still waiting. Do you guys want to just do a CK12 today?
Yeah.
You do? I don't know about you guys. I'm back in the book. It's been years since I read it. I'm into it. Shh. So chapter 5, we start off as we have with a some kind of excerpt from a poem. In this case, it looks like he's bound to be guilty, or he wouldn't be here. Starboard gun, fire. Shooting's too good for him. Kick the louse out. Port gun, fire. Ancient shanty used to time saluting gun. So a shanty or a chant that's set to rhythm, right? So apparently this is something they would say to keep the timing of their gunfire. And then back to the book. But that was after we had left Camp Curry, and a lot had happened in between. Combat training mostly, combat drill, and combat exercises, and combat maneuvers, using everything from bare hands to simulated nuclear weapons. I hadn't known there's so many different ways to fight. Hands and feet to start with. And if you think those aren't weapons, you haven't seen Sergeant Zim and Captain Frankel, our battalion commander, demonstrate la savate. Or had little Shizumi work you over with his hands and a toothy grin. Zim made Shizumi an instructor for that purpose at once and required us to take his orders, although we didn't have to salute him and say, sir. As our ranks thinned, Zim quit bothering with formations himself, except parade, and spent more and more time in personal instruction, supplementing the corporal instructors. He was sudden death with anything he loved, but he loved knives and made and balanced his own, instead of using the perfectly good general issue ones. He mellowed quite a bit as a personal teacher, too, becoming merely unbearable instead of downright disgusting. He could be quite patient with silly questions. So basically, he moves around the training area. He observes the corporal instructors training the recruits. And when needed, he steps in and gives more personalized one-on-one training. Does that make sense? Once, during one of the 2-minute rest periods that were scattered sparsely through each day's work, one of the boys, a kid named Ted Hendrick, asked, "Sergeant, I guess this knife throwing is fun, but why do we have to learn it? What possible use is it?" "Well," answered Zim, "suppose all you have is a knife, or maybe not even a knife. What do you do? Just say your prayers and die? Or wade in and make him buy it somehow anyway?" Or wade in and make him buy it anyhow. There we go. "Son, this is real. It's not a checker game you can concede if you find yourself too far behind." "But that's just what I mean, sir. Suppose you aren't armed at all, or just one of these toad stickers, say, and the man you're up against has all sorts of dangerous weapons. There's nothing you can do about it. He's got you licked on showdown. In other words, you show up to the fight and you already lost." Zim said almost gently, "You've got it all wrong, son. There's no such thing as a dangerous weapon." "Huh, sir?" "There are no dangerous weapons. There are only dangerous men. We're trying to teach you to be dangerous to the enemy. Dangerous, even without a knife. Deadly, as long as you still have one hand or one foot and are still alive. If you don't know what I mean, go read Horatius at the Bridge, or the Death of the Bon Homme Richard." Boy, they love the French references, don't they? I don't know, I've never read them. They're both in the camp library. But take the case you first mentioned. I'm you, and all you have is a knife. That target behind me, the one you've been missing? Number 3 is a sentry, armed with everything but an H-bomb. You've got to get him, quietly, at once, and without letting him call for help. Zim turned slightly. Thunk! A knife he hadn't even had in his hand was quivering in the center of target number 3. You see? Best to carry 2 knives, but get 'em you must, even barehanded. Something still troubling you? Speak up. That's what I'm here for, to answer your questions. Yes, sir. You said the sentry didn't have any H-bomb. But he does have an H-bomb. That's just the point. Well, at least we have, if we're the sentry, and any sentry we're up against is likely to have them too. I don't mean the sentry, I mean the side he's on. Does that make sense? He's saying your opponent has the H-bomb. If you have the H-bomb, your opponent has the H-bomb. I understood you, Zim says. Well, you see, sir, if we can use an H-bomb, and as you said, it's no checker game, it's real, it's war, and nobody's fooling around, isn't it sort of ridiculous to go crawling around in the weeds? Throwing knives, and maybe getting yourself killed, and even losing the war, when you've got a real weapon you can use to win. What's the point in a whole lot of men risking their lives with obsolete weapons when one professor type can do so much more just by pushing a button? Guys, this was written in the 1950s. What were we worried about in the 1950s? The Cold War. We were worried about nuclear war, right? We had people in the 50s that are like, go. And on our side, we didn't really have a super great ICBM force. But we had people constantly in the air with nuclear weapons. Did you guys know that? In the 1950s, our nuclear arsenal was delivered primarily by bombers, bomber aircraft. So because they had missiles, nuclear-tipped missiles that could get to us, and we didn't really have the Minutemen yet, in the early 50s at least, We had to be ready to deliver a nuclear weapon as in response. But if they were on the ground, what happened to them already? They would have already been destroyed. So we had bomber aircraft in orbit. So at any point, they could get a message saying, go. And they'd carry out the mission. They'd fly over Moscow or wherever, and they'd drop a nuclear warhead. There was always, at least a couple probably, look it up, Strategic Air Command always had a nuclear weapon ready to be delivered. And the Russians always had somebody with a finger over a button to launch one, right? It was MAD, literally MAD. Have you ever heard that? It was mutually assured destruction. Both sides knew that if they launched, the other side would see it and they'd launch or drop. So you'd have to be crazy to launch a nuclear attack because you knew that you'd get the same thing. So it kind of worked. We never did actually attack each other with nuclear weapons. But that's what this guy's saying. He says, why do we bother doing all this training if we've got the, why don't we just use the H-bomb? Zim didn't answer at once, which wasn't like him at all. Then he said softly, are you happy in the infantry, Hendrik? You can resign, you know. Hendrik muttered something. Zim said, speak up. I'm not itching to resign, sir. I'm going to sweat out my term. I see. Well, the question you asked is one that a sergeant isn't really qualified to answer, and one that you shouldn't ask me. You're supposed to know the answer before you joined up. Or you should. Did your school have a course in history and moral philosophy? What? Sure, yes, sir. Then you've heard the answer. But I'll give you my own unofficial views on it. If you wanted to teach a baby a lesson, would you cut off its head? If you wanted to teach a baby a lesson, would you cut off its head? Why, no, sir. Of course not. You might paddle it. There can be circumstances when it's just as foolish to hit an enemy city with an H-bomb as it would be to spank a baby with an axe. War is not violence and killing, pure and simple. War is controlled violence for a purpose. Guys, shh. Listen to that again. War is not violence and killing, pure and simple. War is controlled violence for a purpose. The purpose of war is to support your government's decisions by force. The purpose is never to kill the enemy just to be killing him, but to make him do what you want him to do. Not killing, but controlled and purposeful violence. But it's not your business or mine to decide the purpose of the control. It's never a soldier's business to decide when or where or how or why he fights. That belongs to the statesmen and the generals. The statesmen decide why and how much. The generals take it from there and tell us where and when and how. We supply the violence. Other people, older and wiser heads, as they say, supply the control, which is as it should be. That's the best answer I can give you. If it doesn't satisfy you, I'll get you a chit to go talk to the regimental commander. If he can't convince you, then go home and be a civilian. Because in that case, you'll certainly never make a soldier. Zim bounced to his feet. I think you've kept me talking just to gold brick. Up you come, soldiers, on the bounce. Man stations, on target. Hendrik, you first. So he says, I think you've kept me talking just to gold brick. What does that mean? Just to waste time. Do you guys ever, to me or any other teachers, try to keep us talking? To avoid it? No. Never. Shh. This time, guys, shh, here we go again, right? So Zim's talking to Hendrik. This time, I want you to throw that knife south of you. South. Get it? Not north. The target is due south of you, and I want that knife to go in a generally southern direction. At least. I know you won't hit the target, but see if you can't scare it a little. Don't slice your ear off. Don't let it go. Don't let go of it and cut somebody behind you. Just keep that tiny mind you have fixed on the idea of south. Ready? On target. Let fly. Next page. Hendrik missed it. Again. But hadn't Zim thought he would? Are we about out of time? Perfect spot there. All right, so we're supposed to have 23 students. There he is. There's the 23rd. Okay. All right. I am without my microphone system. So we're making a video right now, and they're going to hear you all, just especially you right there, like you guys right there. They're going to hear you better than they hear me. So I need you guys, if you don't need to be talking, like if you got a good question, I want to hear it. They want to hear it, right? But otherwise, keep it. That's going to be really hard for you, isn't it? At least you're further from it than I am. Okay. So go ahead and get out your Chromebooks, and I want you to go ahead and open up a brand new tab.
Okay.
And I'm going to walk you through what I want you to do. Everybody got a new tab up?
Yes.
What?
Did I get my water bottle?
That's tough.
Can we focus? You're like a horse. In that, you know how some horses, you literally have to put the blinders on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You put the blinders so they focus. And so they don't get scared by stuff going off around them. Okay, shh. Here we go. Do you guys see the waffle or hamburger or whatever you want to call it? The 9 realms. Right there. Shh. The Google Apps. Click it. Okay. And yours might not look exactly like mine. Shh. But somewhere in there, you might have to scroll to find it. You should find Sheets. Go ahead and click Sheets. And then you're going to click on Blank Spreadsheet to pull up a new blank spreadsheet. Okay, everybody got that? Yeah. Now, when you get to it, let me clear all this off. When you get to it, it should be blank like this. And at the top left, there'll be a spot for you to put a title. Click in that box and give it a title. I titled mine Bungee Barbie Data because that's what I'm putting in here. But if you want to call it something else, Barbie Gonna Die or whatever, you can go ahead and put that in there. Hopefully you don't kill Barbie.
Why not?
But if you have a bad estimate on how many rubber bands it'll take. You guys figure out how to put a title in? A lot of talking going on. I figured most of you knew how to title it. Are we good? Yeah. We will learn some new things, okay? All right. Shh. I think some of you are going to learn something today. Maybe, just a little. Probably not how to be quiet. All right, so check it out. Is it not bungee like that? Is it bungee like this? I don't know. I feel like I've always been spelling it I-E. All right. Extra sound effects are not welcome today. Again, I do not have my mic system on. So even with the mic on me, I still pick up you all in the background. So it's going to be really bad. All right. So right here, what comes first in the alphabet, X or Y? X. So the computer knows that and follows basic English rules. Which variable do you think we should put in to the computer first?
X. Y.
Variable.
Why?
It's dry.
Independent variable.
The independent variable, why? Because that's what's on the x-axis. Okay. All right, guys. So we're going to put it, what is the independent variable in our scenario? We got bungee Barbie, bungee jumping. We have two variables. We have a dependent variable and an independent variable, right?
Yeah.
Which is the independent variable? The number of rubber bands or the distance of the fall?
Number of bands.
Good.
Yes.
Does that make sense to everybody? The distance of the fall depends on the number of rubber bands. All right, so for column A, we're going to put in number of bands. And then for column B, we're going to put in distance of the fall. Or I might write drop distance. You can title it whatever you want. And then in parentheses, I'm going to put inches. Because we're going to use inches.
Okay.
Sorry, not sorry. I know this is a science class, and we do try to, as much as possible, like at least often, use metric system. But you know, we're still in America, so you need to know how to use both. All right, so we're going to put it in inches. Now, I'm going to do something. It just happened to work out pretty well. But what if I put it in and it wasn't sized well? So check it out. If my column width is more than it needs to be, take your cursor, put it between B and C. Do you see a little railroad tie type thing pull up? Double click that and it will automatically resize the column for you. Did you see what I did? If not, watch again. You can click and drag. So you could do it manually, or if you double click, it will automatically size it for you. Good?
Yep.
Is that new for anybody? Is that something new for? Okay,
That is very new.
couple of you. Awesome. Learned something new already. Shh. Shh. Now, another thing you might not know. We're going to label number of bands 1 through 30. But instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, I'm going to go 1 and 2, okay? And then I'm going to highlight the 1 and the 2. And then that little blue dot right here, I'm going to drag it down to row 31 and let go. And it is going to automatically number a list of numbers for me. Is that neat or what? How many of you is that new for? Several of you. Good.
We're still doing that.
Wait, how do you do 30?
You may do it again? All right. Shh. I'm going to do it again.
I didn't put in
Whoa. Get off my screen.
Mine don't.
Yeah, you have to do it specifically the way I'm doing it. You can't do it your way. This isn't Burger King. All right? 1, 2. Shh. You can't do 1, 2, and 3. Maybe you can. I don't know. But just do 1, 2. You cannot highlight the words number of bands. Just 1 and 2. And then there will be this blue dot. Grab it, drag it, until you have 30. Yeah, row 31 will get you to 30 on the count.
Sounds good.
But that just gave me all one.
No, here.
You have to do 1 and 2. 1 and 2 have to be highlighted.
Oh, you said 30.
Yeah, you put it to row 31, not.
Oh, you said you didn't say that, right?
Brad,
Specify.
Try to highlight them.
he thought it was implied. Raise your hand when you need to come over. If only if your neighbor couldn't help you. If your neighbor can help you, all the better. Hey guys, it is harder on your Chromebooks because you don't have a separate mouse. I understand that. But you can do it. It will work. All right, everybody good now?
Yes.
Sweet. All right, drop distance. I'll wait on you guys. I need quiet.
Yes.
For drop distance, once you guys, it could be any day this week. I don't care. If you bring in your Barbie dolls or your action figures, something approximately the weight and size of Barbie doll, okay? once you guys have enough for us to use, plus I've got 5, we can actually do measurements to see how far it will fall with 1, 2, 4, and 5 rubber bands. And we'll put it in. For now, we're just going to make up some numbers, okay? So go ahead and follow along with me. We're going to go 5 inches for the number 1 rubber band. Do not put 5IN for inches. The column title tells us it's in inches. If you mix numbers and letters, we won't be able to use it to make a good graph.
Okay.
So we're going to go 5, let's do 9. We're going to skip 3. And then let's say 13 and 20. 20. I'm making these up, guys. When we do the measurements for our lab, you will have real data to put in. For each of them, you'd probably take at least 2 or 3 measurements and average them, yes?
Yeah.
So on average, how far will it fall for 4 rubber bands or for 5 rubber bands? And you'll put that average in. So, okay, we got all our data in, yes? Everybody good? Now you're going to go to A1, click, hold, and drag to highlight A1 all the way down to B31. That whole range of data in those first 2 columns. A1, which is all the way to the top left, click in that box, hold it, and drag until you get to B31.
Got it.
The whole thing? Then you highlighted the whole thing? Don't highlight the whole thing. Click off of it and try again. All right, guys. Shh. There is another method. It's okay. I'll show you the other method. Watch this. If I click anywhere, it will disappear. Yes? All right, watch this. If I scroll up to A1, click in the box. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to put it on control. I'm going to hold the control button down. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to click in the box B31. And it should have, what?
Shift.
Is it shift? No, I don't think so. It changed the size of my screen. That's probably what happened. Is it shift?
Maybe control.
It's making my mouse do different things. Daggone it.
Oh, I got it. It's control shift.
I did that all the time. No,
Yeah. Control shift.
I could have fixed it.
Shift. Didn't need control. Mine did not need control, but it was shift. So I'll do it again. So I'm going to put it in A1, scroll down, shift, then click B31 to highlight it. If you can't, drag. If you can't drag, are you having trouble dragging? For me, it'd be easier to drag.
Got it.
No, I'm saying don't drag. If you're watch, I'll click off. Okay. So I'm gonna go up to A1. Click in the box A1 right now. Click. You got that box highlighted?
Yes.
Now, don't do anything other than scroll down to get ready. Don't click in it yet. Is if A1 should still be highlighted. Now you're going to hold shift down and click in B31. Push the button shift down. And click in B31. Did it highlight them all? There you go. Okay. Has everybody got that field highlighted?
That's the best I can do.
All right. We're going to go to insert. See insert? Click insert. And then go straight down the list to where it says chart. Click on chart. I'll get to you. Hold on. Shh. Chart editor should open up for you.
Yes.
Right here where it says chart type. You're going to click on it. Make sure you are on scatter chart. The first scatter chart that appears is the one I want you to use. Click on it. You got them? Good. Now, my chart's too big. I can't see anything else. So I'm going to actually scroll down just a little bit. Guys, grab the corner. See the little arrow, diagonal arrow? Hello? Do you see the diagonal arrow?
Yes.
Shrink that chart down a little bit, and then grab it at the top and move it off to the side. And that might be a little too small. I can resize it again. I can adjust it a little bigger.
Mine's pretty good.
My gosh.
What?
Press insert.
Insert.
Yes. Yes. That's why we're setting it up today, so we won't have to set it up again. All right, here we go. Here we go. Shh. Guys. Shh. So notice that it automatically, because you included, now if you didn't include it, it didn't do it for you. If you included the titles, it automatically put your x-axis label and your y-axis label on there for you. And it created a generic title for your graph. Now, if we want though, because the whole point is to use our graph to interpolate and extrapolate unknown points. If I do my line of best fit and I want to extrapolate, can I use this graph as is?
No.
No, because it goes off the graph. It goes off the chart. So what we're going to do is scroll down to about 25. Go to B25. We're going to say, well, I guess it's B26, right? For 25 rubber bands. And remember I told you we're going to be dropping from about 12 feet, which is how many inches?
144.
Put in 144 inches
Great.
for 25 rubber bands. Again, we're making data up for right now. Now go back to your graph.
26.
Can we use our line of best fit now? Yeah. So now look. Based on my line of best fit, my trend line, will I need, if that blue dot represents 144 inches, will I need more or less than 25 rubber bands? Less would put me up here. I need more. My trend line points to out here, right?
Yeah.
So let's try. Let's just try 30. 144 in for 30 rubber bands. Delete the other one. And to answer your question, Bradbury, yes, it automatically puts that new data in, doesn't it? Much closer. Is it perfect? No. But I'm not going to add more rubber bands in our column there because based on past experience, we've never needed that many. Okay? So we've got our graph set up for what I expect us to. Now, if we need to adjust it, we can later. But we should be good. All right? Now, right now, is this real data? No, this is just made up. They're placeholders, guys. We're just setting the chart up. We will replace these points of data with actual measurements and averaging, okay? And then we'll have good data to work with. We will do that as soon as you guys want to. As soon as you guys, enough people remember to bring those in, we'll have a measuring day, a practice drop day for Barbie. Or Big Show or whoever you want. Questions, comments, concerns? Does everybody know how to set it up? Know how to get the graph to work? Perfect. Books. Books. Page 66 at the top.
What's the next one?
So unless you're reading the book on the PDF, your computer should be closed. I do have Go Guardian up, so if you're playing Snake or whatever, I'll call you out. No, I don't see anybody. I'm just saying I have it up. Here we go, page 66 at the top. Hendrick missed again. Remember they were practicing some knife throwing? And Hendrick threw it in the general direction. Hopefully he succeeded at that at least, but he missed. We trained with sticks and we trained with wire. Lots of nasty things you can improvise with a piece of wire. And we learned what can be done with really modern weapons and how to do it and how to service and maintain the equipment. Simulated nuclear weapons and infantry rockets and various sorts of gas and poison and incendiary and demolition. As well as other things maybe best not discussed. But we learned a lot of obsolete weapons too. Bayonets on dummy guns, for example. And guns that weren't dummies too, but were almost identical with the infantry rifle of the 20th century. Much like the sporting rifles used in hunting game, except that we fired nothing but solid slugs, alloy-jacketed lead bullets, both at targets on measured ranges and at surprise targets on booby-trapped skirmish runs. This was supposed to prepare us to learn to use any armed weapon and to train us to be on the bounce, alert, ready for anything. Well, I suppose it did. I'm pretty sure it did. We used these rifles in field exercises to simulate a lot of deadlier and nastier aimed weapons too. We used a lot of simulation, we had to. An explosive bomb or grenade against material or personnel would explode just enough to put out a lot of black smoke. Another sort of gave off a gas that would make you sneeze and weep. What do you think that is? Tear gas? In the Army we call it CS gas, yeah. That told you were dead or paralyzed. They're simulating, right? They're not going to use an actual blister agent. It does what it says it will. If you're exposed to a blister agent, it makes your tissues blister. Not just on your skin. If you breathe it in, it will do what to your lungs?
Blister them.
It will destroy them. You will no longer be able to harvest oxygen from the air you breathe. You'll die. So they train with the CS gas to see what? If the masks, if you know how to use it right, if you know how to seal them off. We did the same thing in basic training, right? Every year we did gas chamber training. And if you coughed, that meant what?
You can do it.
That means some of it got in there and triggered a cough reflex, which means you weren't sealed up. You did it wrong. And that was nasty enough to make you careful about anti-gas precautions, to say nothing of the chewing out you got if you were caught by it. We got still less sleep. More than half the exercises were held at night with snoopers and radar and audio gear and such. The rifles used to simulate aimed weapons were loaded with blanks except 1 in 500 rounds at random, which was a real bullet. Dangerous? Yes and no. It's dangerous not to be alive. Ooh, wait. It's dangerous just to be alive. And a non-explosive bullet probably won't kill you unless it hits you in the head or heart, and maybe not then. Has anybody ever survived being hit in the head with a bullet?
Yeah.
Or the heart? It's actually harder, I think, but it can be done. What that 1 in 500 for real did was to give us a deep interest in taking cover. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Especially as we knew that some of the rifles were being fired by instructors who were crack shots and actually trying their best to hit you if the round happened not to be a blank. They assured us that they would not intentionally shoot a man in the head, but accidents do happen. This friendly assurance wasn't very reassuring. That 500th bullet turned tedious exercises into large-scale Russian roulette. You stop being bored the very first time you hear the slug go past your ear before you hear the crack of the rifle. Why do you hear it go past your head before you hear the report of the rifle? Because the bullet's traveling faster than the speed of sound. Very good. But we did slack down anyhow, and word came down from the top that if we didn't get on the bounce, in other words, if we didn't get more alert, like, are they playing? Are they pretending? Well, kinda, yeah. But if we didn't take it more seriously, the training, the incidence of real ones would be changed to 1 in 100, and if that didn't work, to 1 in 50. So they'll introduce more live ammunition into the exercises if they didn't take it more seriously. I don't know whether a change was made or not, no way to tell, but I do know we tightened up again because a boy in the next company got creased across his buttocks with a live one, produced an amazing scar and a lot of half-witty comments, and a renewed interest by all hands in taking cover. We laughed at this kid for getting shot where he did, but we all knew it could have been his head or our own heads. The instructors who were not firing rifles did not take cover. They put on white shirts and walked around upright with their silly canes, apparently calmly certain that even a recruit would not intentionally shoot instructors, which may have been overconfidence on the part of some of them. Still, the chances were 500 to 1 that even a shot aimed with murderous intent would not be live. And the safety factor increased still higher because the recruit probably couldn't shoot that well anyhow, at least at first. A rifle is not an easy weapon. It's got no target-seeking qualities at all. Well, I mean, they've got sights, don't they? But you have to know how to use them. I understand that even back in the days when wars were fought and decided with just such rifles, it used to take several thousand fired shots to average killing one man. This seems impossible, but the military histories agree that it is true. Apparently, most shots weren't really aimed, but simply acted to force the enemy to keep his head down and interfere with his shooting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of times if you're wanting to move from where you are to the next position, you're going to have your buddies lay down cover fire for you while you move. Cover fire doesn't mean they're like carefully aiming at somebody popping their head up. No, they're just throwing rounds down range to keep those people's head down so they can't even see you move. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In any case, we had no instructors wounded or killed by rifle fire. No trainees were killed either by rifle bullets. The deaths were all from other weapons or things, some of which could turn around and bite you if you didn't do things by the book. Well, one boy did manage to break his neck taking cover too enthusiastically when they first started shooting at him, but no bullet touched him. I want to go back. It said no trainees were killed either. In the movie, they changed that. Just if you ever watch the movie, which I don't recommend until you're older, okay? They do change some details. Some of it gets really, really crazy what they change. Anyway. However, by a chain reaction, this matter of rifle bullets and taking cover brought me to my lowest ebb at Camp Curry. What does he mean? He brought him to his lowest ebb. Emotionally, he was at his lowest point. In the first place, I had been busted out of my boot chevrons, not over what I did, but over something one of my squad did when I wasn't even around, which I pointed out. Bronski told me to button my lip, so I went to see Zim about it. He told me coldly that I was responsible for what my men did regardless, and tacked on 6 hours of extra duty besides busting me for having spoken to him about it without Bronski's permission. So he jumped rank. He went around Bronski, and he got in trouble for it, which is good. You should use your chain of command. If you had a problem, you shouldn't have gone around Bronski. You said, Bronski, I'd formally like to speak to Sergeant Zinn. Then I got a letter that upset me a lot. My mother finally wrote to me. Then I sprained a shoulder in my first drill with powered armor. They've got those practice suits rigged so that the instructor can cause casualties in the suit at will by radio control. I got dumped and hurt my shoulder, and this put me on light duty with too much time to think at a time when I had many reasons, it seemed to me, to feel sorry for myself. Wait, did they just intentionally hurt him? So he was in one of these powered suits, and they intentionally dropped him out of it and hurt his shoulder, putting him on light duty. Why would the instructors intentionally hurt him?
They want to teach him
What do they want to teach him?
a lesson.
A lesson in what? Did he do something wrong?
No.
Has Johnny really had anything bad happen to him in training yet?
No.
So isn't it the instructor's jobs to make training as hard as possible?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of making it hard, or to toughen him up?
Toughen him up.
If he hasn't encountered anything that difficult yet, how can he be toughened up? So they intentionally hurt him. And it's in his mind as much as anything, right? Now he's feeling sorry for himself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're going to see if he can get through it. Because of the light duty, I was ordered that day in the battalion commander's office, which I was eager at first, for I had never been there before and wanted to make a good impression. I discovered that Captain Frankel didn't want zeal. He wanted me to sit still, say nothing, and not bother him. This left me time to sympathize with myself, for I didn't dare go to sleep. So he's sitting there and he's doing what? Sympathizing with himself?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's just like, oh,
He's like pouting,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then suddenly, shortly after lunch, I wasn't a bit sleepy. Sergeant Zim came in, followed by 3 men. Zim was smart and neat as usual, but the expression on his face made him look like death on a pale horse. And he had a mark on his right eye that looked as if it might be shaping up into a shiner, which was impossible, of course. Of the other 3, the one in the middle was Ted Hendrick. He was dirty. Well, the company had been on the field exercise. They don't scrub those prairies, and you spend a lot of time snuggling up to the dirt. But his lip was split, and there was blood on his chin and on his shirt, and his cap was missing. He looked wild-eyed. The men on each side of him were boots. What does that mean, they were boots? Are they a pair of boots? What?
They're pair of boots.
They're privates. They're also trainees. They're fellow trainees. They each had rifles. Hendrick did not. What are we getting the impression of? Is Hendrick he's in trouble? One of them was from my squad, a kid named Levi. He seemed excited and pleased and slipped me a wink when nobody was looking. Captain Frankel looked surprised. What is this, Sergeant? Zim stood frozen straight and spoke as if he were reciting something by rote. What does that mean? If you're reciting something by rote, it means you have it memorized. So he starts to recite this. He says, Sir, H Company Commander reports to the battalion commander. Discipline. Article 9107, disregard of tactical command and doctrine. The team being in simulated combat. Article 9120, disobedience of orders, same conditions. Captain Frankel looked puzzled. You're bringing this to me, Sergeant? Officially? I don't see how a man can manage to look as embarrassed as Zim looked and still have no expression of any sort in his face or voice. Sir, if the captain pleases. The man refused administrative discipline. He insisted on seeing the battalion commander. What are you guys doing? We're not done. I see. A bedroll lawyer. Well, I still don't understand it, Sergeant, but technically that's his privilege. What was the tactical command and doctrine? A freeze, sir. I glanced at Hendrik, thinking, oh, he's going to catch it. In a freeze, you hit dirt, taking any cover you can, fast, and then freeze. You don't move at all, not even a twitch, an eyebrow, until released. Or you can freeze when you're already in cover. They tell stories about men who have been hit while in freeze and had died slowly, but without ever making a sound or a move. Frankel's brows shot up. Second part? Same thing, sir. After breaking freeze, failing to return to it on being so ordered. Captain Frankel looked grim. Name? Zim answered. Hendrik, TC, sir. Recruit private, RP 7960924. Could we stop beating on that? Thank you. Very well. Hendrik, you are deprived of all privileges for 30 days and restricted to your tent when not on duty or at meals, subject only to sanitary necessities. You will serve 3 hours extra duty each day under the corporal of the guard. 1 hour to be served just before taps, 1 hour just before reveille, 1 hour at the time of the noonday meal, and in place of it, so he doesn't get lunch. Your evening meal will be bread and water, as much bread as you can eat. You will serve 10 hours extra duty each Sunday, the time to be adjusted to permit you to attend divine services if you so elect. I thought, oh my, they threw the book. So in the Army, in my service, this would be called an Article 15. He's just been given extra duty. His privileges are revoked. Captain Frankel went on. Hendrik, the only reason you're getting off so lightly is that I'm not permitted to give you any more than that without convening a court-martial. And I don't want to spoil your company's record. Dismissed. He dropped his eyes back to the papers on his desk, the incident already forgotten. And Hendrik yelled, "You didn't hear my side of it!" The captain looked up. "Oh, sorry, you have a side?" "You're darn right I do. Sergeant Sims got it in for me. He's been riding me all day long from the time I got here. That's his job," the captain said coldly. "Do you deny the 2 charges against you?" "No, but he didn't tell you I was lying on an anthill." Frankel looked disgusted. "Oh, so you would get yourself killed and perhaps your teammates as well because of a few little ants?" "Not just a few, there were hundreds of them, stingers." "So, young man, let me put you straight. Had it been a nest of rattlesnakes, you would still have been expected and required to freeze." Frankel paused. "Have you anything at all to say in your own defense?" Hendrik's mouth was open. "I certainly do. He hit me. He laid his hands on me. The whole bunch of them are always strutting around with those silly batons, whacking you across the fanny, punching you between the shoulders and telling you to brace up. And I put up with it. But he hit me with his hands. He knocked me down to the ground and yelled, 'Freeze, you stupid jackass!' How about that?" Captain Frankel looked down at his hands, looked up again at Hendrik. "Young man, you're under a misapprehension very common amongst civilians. You think that your superior officers are not permitted to, quote, lay hands on you, as you put it. Under purely social conditions, that's true. Say if we happen to run across each other in the theater or a shop, I would have no more right, as long as you treated me with respect, due my rank, to slap your face than you have to slap mine. But in line of duty, the rule is entirely different." The captain swung around in his chair and pointed at some loose leaf books. These are the laws under which you live. You can search every article in these books, every court-martial case which has arisen under them, and you will not find one word which says or implies that your superior officer may not lay hands on you or strike you in any manner in line of duty. Hendrik, I could break your jaw, and I simply would be responsible to my superior officers as to the appropriate necessity of the act. But I would not be responsible to you. I could do more than that. There are circumstances under which a superior officer, commissioned or not, is not only permitted but required to kill an officer or a man under him without delay and perhaps without warning, and far from being punished, be commended. To put a stop to pusillanimous conduct in the face of the enemy, for example. So if somebody is doing something that will get the rest of the crew killed, it is a responsibility for somebody to stop it. Does that make sense? If it had been real combat and he was on an anthill and he did what he did, he could have gotten all of them killed. This was simulated combat, but they're treating it like it's real. Zim got mad at him, and he still talked back. So yeah, Zim put his hands on him. Yes. Sure. Do we have time to finish the page, you think?
I think so.
Yeah, easy. The captain tapped on his desk. Now about those batons, they have two uses. First, they mark the men in authority. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What did I just say? They mark the men. So those that are carrying the batons, it helps to identify them, right? They're the instructors. They have two uses. First, they mark the men in authority. Second, we expect them to be used on you, to touch you up and keep you on the bounce. You can't possibly be hurt by one or with one, not the way they're used. At most, they sting a little, but they have saved thousands of words. Do actions speak louder than words?
Yes.
Say you don't turn out on the bounce at Reveille. No doubt the duty corporal would wheedle you, say pretty please with sugar on top, inquire if you'd like breakfast in bed this morning. If we could spare one career corporal just to nursemaid you, we can't. So he gives your bedroll a whack and trots on down the line, applying the spur where needed. Of course, he could simply kick you, which would be just as legal and nearly as effective, but the general in charge of training and discipline thinks that is more dignified, both for the duty corporal and for you, to snap a late sleeper out of his fog with the impersonal rod of authority. And so do I. Not that it matters what you or I think about it, this is the way we do it. Does that make sense? It's just the way it is. Get over it. Captain Frankel sighed. Hendrik, I have explained these matters to you because it is useless to punish a man unless he knows why he's being punished. You've been a bad boy. I say boy because you quite evidently aren't a man yet, although we'll keep trying. A surprisingly bad boy in view of the stage of your training. Nothing you have said is any defense, nor even any mitigation. You don't seem to know the score, nor have any idea of your duty as a soldier. So tell me in your own words, why do you feel mistreated? I want to get you straightened out. There might even be something in your favor, though I confess that I cannot imagine what it could be. Now we probably should stop, right? Unfortunately, we didn't get really to the end of it. It gets good. I mean, it's already good. What do you think is going to happen to Hendrik?
Okay, give him last.
You read ahead.
I only read to like 3 pages ahead.
You read ahead.
That's it.
He read ahead.